Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Different by Design. I'm your host, Nick Treester, and today we are checking out the C.R. Smith Museum, which is located in Dallas, Fort Worth area and houses many airline artifacts for American Airlines. It is their primary museum where they showcase their history of their airline, and they have some cool stuff like this plane right here. So come with me as I join the Studebaker Drivers Club of North Texas as we check out this neat little museum. So this plane right here is a DC-3, and the DC-3 was built basically after a marathon telephone call that happened between the Douglas Aircraft CEO and the American Airlines CEO, C.R. Smith, which the museum is named after that gentleman. They had a marathon-long conversation one night about developing a new aircraft based on the DC-2. The DC-3 that is shown here was developed after that call and actually features Wright Cyclone 1820 engines, which were also manufactured by Studebaker Corporation during the war effort. Now, this plane likely doesn't have Studebaker 1820 engines, but there was an agreement between Curtiss-Wright and Studebaker Corporation during the war. One of the things that the DC-3 did was expand air travel and expand the amount of passengers that could be carried. Previous to this, most airlines made their revenue streams by hauling mail for the United States government, but it was really the DC-3 and planes like it that helped revolutionize travel across the United States and across the world with airlines, now placing their emphasis on the paying passenger rather than just hauling mail. So this is an example of a very revolutionary aircraft as far as air travel is concerned. In this case, you've got various memorabilia from when American Airlines was right in the middle of the jet age, and so this whole exhibit is persuading the viewer to remember the great era of the jet age. This engine right here is actually a GE CF6, and it could be found in several different applications. For the Boeing family, it was found in the 767 and the 747, and for the Douglas and McConnell Douglas engines or planes, it was found in the MD-11 and the DC-10. One of the individuals at the museum that was providing the tour informed us that American Airlines got rid of the 767 and 757, and I later looked that up, and it looks like American Airlines is slowly phasing out the 757 and has pretty much phased out the 767, which sucks because those are two great planes. They cited fuel economy as one of the major factors of retiring those fleets, so it's sad to see that. In the background, you'll probably hear a bunch of kids yelling and screaming. This whole exhibit is in one main area with a slide that the kids run down, so you might hear that in the background. Above me is these models of different aircraft from the companies that would have contributed to the current brand of American Airlines. And they go in a direction to show progress of technological flight. These are different schedules and maps of the airline routes. Our tour guide said they have a whole archive of items from the past. This museum is actually separate, non-for-profit from the actual airline, but the museum is the employees are actually of the museum are actually American Airlines employees on loan to the museum. This is their MD-80 aircraft cockpit that they have. They stopped flying that in 2018 or 2019, actually. There's an exhibit about flight attendants, stewardesses. They've got a full Embraer flight simulator. So that flight simulator actually turned out to be really cool. And I spent almost an hour in there just screwing around on the flight simulator. I ended up flying probably 4 or 5 different takeoffs and landings. And I've never done a flight simulator, so that was actually basically worth the entire price of admission. I'd highly recommend going at a time when you can just have it to yourself and fly as many flights as you want to. I stuck around and did that after the Studebaker meeting that we had, so that was quite a bit of fun. Food on board. Each airline had their own signature china.
Oh, you church today? Yeah. Oh. Well, we have a small. Oh.
There's Ozark Airlines, which combined with TWA. This is a quiet area to reflect on the terrorist attacks that took place on September 11th. Flight 11 was one of the flights that was hijacked that hit the World Trade Center. So it's great that there's this space here that people can come and reflect on that day. Obviously, that was a significant event that happened to America and the world, all that.
So I'm over there. All of a sudden, you just hear this. And so we go up there.
Here's the MD-80 Cockpit.
There is going to be numerous targets between Charlotte and about 25 to 30 miles north of Charlotte at 4,000.
Hello, I'm Captain Kent Ween. I used to fly the MD-80 out of New York. In fact, I flew this particular airplane from Chicago to Fort Lauderdale and then on to Dallas-Fort Worth. Today, I'd like to just point out a few of the quirks and some of the features of the MD-80. Each time you press the button on the center console, a special feature of the cockpit will be highlighted. So, push the button and we'll get started. The flap handle allowed us to increase the surface area of the wing by selecting flaps for takeoff and landing. In fact, unique to the MD-80, we could even fine-tune this more using a dial just below it, giving us a way to fine-tune the flap setting, say to 17, for example.
This board shows all the different brands that combine together to create American Airlines. One of my favorites is TWA, or Trans World Airlines, but you've also got US Air, and another one that was of noteworthy descent was Piedmont Airlines, which was over in the south, and in Charlotte, I think, was their hub. There's a 747. This is their interactive command center, where you can command an airline.
Hi, I'm Steve Olson, and I'd like to welcome you to the American Airlines Integrated Operations Center, or IOC, where I work as an IOC director. This facility is like the global command center for the airline's operations. Over 1,800 employees plan, oversee, and dispatch the airline's 1 million annual mainline flights around the globe. Over 15 different departments work with frontline employees 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to serve more than 140 million customers. From cargo operation, maintenance control, and system customer service, everyone works hard to transport people and their goods safely to their destinations. Are you ready to meet the IOC team? On the screens in front of you, you can visit different departments and learn more. You only have a few minutes, so you better get started.
I coordinate between American Airlines and the government's air traffic system to determine the safest and most efficient routes available. My goal is to ensure the safety of customers, employees, and our American Airlines fleet, while also monitoring traffic both in the air and at the airport.
As the manager of weather technology for American Airlines, I oversee the delivery of specialized aviation weather forecasts that are produced every hour of every day. These forecasts help us to predict the impact that events such as thunderstorms, lightning, ice storms, and any other weather can have on the day-to-day operations of the airline.
It looks like there is a massive thunderstorm stretching across the country. It's time to make real-time decisions. Are you ready? You've got two airplanes heading to the American Airlines hub in Philadelphia that have been pulled back from the gate. One at LAX in Los Angeles and one at SFO in San Francisco. However, after pulling back, air traffic control is telling you that due to thunderstorms and congestion in the Northeast, only one of the two planes can have a slot that will allow it to land on time. So, you must decide which plane sits on the tarmac for an hour and which one takes off right away, LAX or San Francisco.
Let's let LAX take off.
The better answer is to hold SFO and let LAX take off so we can get those customers onto those international flights. We can still offer the SFO customers domestic connections on the same day, just a few hours later. Let's try another one. Now that your LAX flight is in the air, your meteorologists are calling you about a weather change. There's now a massive summer thunderstorm developing all the way from Toronto to Atlanta. Your flight to Philadelphia could easily go south or north of the main part of the storm. If the pilot elects to fly north, there will be a 30-minute delay. If they decide to fly south, there is no delay anticipated at this time. However, the flight is still only halfway across the country, and your meteorologists are telling you there's a 40% chance the storms could expand on the southern route, forcing an hour delay and potential turbulence. Do you take the guaranteed 30-minute delay to the north, or the 40% chance of an hour delay to the south?
Yeah, let's fly south. I'm probably incorrect. Oh, shouldn't be running an airline.
This is a tough one, and the final decision always rests with the pilot in command and the dispatcher. But the better answer is to take the guaranteed delay of 30 minutes over the 40% chance of a much longer delay. The big factor here is not just time, but the expected turbulence and
As you can see, a lot of the museum
that might
exhibits
come
are
with the storm.
geared towards STEM education, and
Ready
that's a
for
big
another
thing,
challenge?
especially
This
since
time we're
the
dealing with ice
pilot shortage is causing disruptions with a large part of the industry right now. Same with ground operations and technical operations and flight attendants and all that kind of thing. So this museum does kind of serve the purpose of future recruitment, which is always good. But yeah, that's kind of our tour of this place. Dedicated museum for American Airlines. So one thing to know about the museum is it's actually adjacent to the actual flight training center where the pilots go to train on different simulators and get type rated in the aircraft that they fly. And American Airlines told me that they have upwards of 40 plus simulators located here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at this training facility, and then a couple more in the Charlotte area. And that's where they train most of their pilots. They've also got flight attendant training that they do. That's mainly egress training and safety training for the stewardesses and flight attendants that are inside American Airlines flights. And they've actually got a dedicated pool for that type of activity that's also located next door. Living in Dallas is pretty cool because I get to live in the hub city for American Airlines, and that means I can pretty much get a direct flight sometimes several times a day to many destination cities and also international destinations. So living in a hub city has huge advantages, and you might even say I'm a fan of American Airlines. I just enjoy flying with them, and it seems like it's always a pretty decent experience. It's not a 100% perfect operation, as no business is, but for the most part, they usually get me where I need to go, and I truly enjoy flying on their planes. Really enjoyed when they used to have the MD-80s still around. That kind of reminded me of my childhood flying around on MD-80s, and those were all centered at their hub location. So if you're flying out, you might end up on one of those aircraft. So it's pretty cool. I mean, living in a hub city for an airline just has kind of some magic to it. This flight was actually a week earlier when I flew from LaGuardia in New York City all the way to Dallas and landed, and this is a nighttime view of our landing. So I thought I would tag this onto our video as it was kind of serene and great to look at our fair city of Dallas-Fort Worth.
remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off. And